Hello, guys. What if the world you knew vanished in an instant, not with a bang, but with a deafening silence? This is a story about the day the Earth stopped spinning and what happened when it began to do something far more terrifying and beautiful. The silence was the first violation. It was not the absence of sound, but the sound of absence. Dr. Aris Thorne felt it in his bones before his mind could grasp the physics of it. The constant, subtle hum of planetary motion, a symphony that had played for 4.5 billion years, had simply stopped. In his observatory, perched on a Chilean mountain peak like a shrine to the stars, the sudden stillness was a physical blow. The coffee in his mug, a dark, placid circle, no longer showed the faint, telltale curvature of the Coriolis effect. Outside, the wind, that eternal child of Earth's spin, died. Everything, everywhere, just ceased its momentum. He stumbled to the grand telescope's monitor, his heart a frantic drum against the sudden, profound quiet of the cosmos. The data streams were impossible. The planet's axial rotation read 0. Then, a shudder ran through the bedrock, a deep, grinding tremor that was not an earthquake but something more fundamental. It was the planet itself groaning under the strain of its own impossible inertia. Aris stared at the screen, his breath fogging the glass. A red alert flashed, an error he had never seen, an error he had never imagined. It did not say the world was stopping, it said the world was unspooling. Then, through the observatory's dome, he saw it. A crack appeared in the sky. It was not a fissure in the clouds, but in the very fabric of the heavens, a sliver of impossible shimmering darkness that bled a light he had no name for. The world had not just stopped, it was beginning to open. The first 6 hours were a global scream trapped in a vacuum. With no spin, the atmosphere had become a blunt instrument, a colossal wave of air scouring the surface at 1,000 miles per hour before settling into a stark, unnatural calm. Cities on the leading edge were sandblasted into oblivion. Those on the trailing edge were momentarily spared. But the true horror was not the wind or the colossal tsunamis that rearranged coastlines. It was the sky. The cracks, which humanity quickly named the rifts, were multiplying. They were not random. They followed the lines of longitude and latitude, a perfect, terrifying grid being etched onto the firmament. Through these rifts, nothing of the familiar void of space could be seen. Instead, there were glimpses of else. Landscapes of crystalline trees pulsing with soft light, geometries that made the eyes water and the mind revolt, skies of ochre and violet lit by suns that were not our sun. The world was split. Half-baked in perpetual, unmoving sunlight, half-frozen in an endless night, lit only by the eerie glow of the rifts. In a fortified bunker deep beneath the Ural Mountains, General Eva Rostova watched the world end on a dozen screens. She was a woman carved from granite and pragmatism, her face a mask of resolute control. For her, the event was not a metaphysical crisis, but a tactical one. The enemy was physics itself. "Status," she barked, her voice cutting through the panicked hum of her command center. "The still side is reporting temperatures exceeding 100 degrees Celsius and rising. Dark side is approaching -50. The rifts are electromagnetically active. They are emitting patterns, not random noise." She turned to a captured image, a still from a drone that had peered into a rift before being annihilated. It showed a forest of what looked like enormous feathery diatoms, all glowing with an internal blue luminescence. "What am I looking at, Thorne?" Her voice was sharp, a direct line to the Chilean observatory where Aris sat, surrounded by the ghosts of his dead colleagues. Aris looked at the image, not with fear, but with a soul-deep, aching wonder. "You're looking at biology, General," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "But not our biology, not our evolution, not our evolution. You are looking at a place where the rules are different." "The rules can be broken," Rostova countered. "We have contingencies for planetary threats. Asteroids, solar flares, this is just another variable. We must seal these rifts." Aris felt a profound sadness. "Seal them? General, that's like trying to seal a womb that has decided it is time for birth. You don't understand. The Earth isn't broken. It's changing. It's becoming something else." His words were dismissed as the ramblings of a man in shock. Rostova initiated the Prometheus Protocol, a desperate plan to use targeted thermonuclear devices to collapse the rifts, to cauterize the wounds in reality. She saw a planet dying. Aris saw a chrysalis cracking open. His grief, a constant companion since his young daughter Alara had died 2 years prior, found a strange resonance in the world's transformation. He remembered her fascination with kaleidoscopes, how she believed other worlds existed in the tumbling shards of light. He began to study the patterns Rostova had mentioned, the emissions from the rifts. They were not a code or a language. They were music. A complex, layered harmony that was slowly, methodically, rewriting the laws of physics in their vicinity. A world away, on what was once the west coast of Ireland, a young woman named Kaelen walked toward a rift. The colossal fissure hung over the Atlantic, a shimmering tapestry of emerald and gold. While the world hid, she watched. She saw that the strange alien flora visible through the tear responded to the rising and setting of a sun that wasn't there. She felt no fear, only a sense of profound arrival, as if she had been waiting for this her entire life. She was one of the few who had not fled, who had not tried to fight. She listened. And in the low hum of the rift, she heard the same celestial harmony that Aris had detected. Driven by a certainty he couldn't explain, Aris abandoned his useless observatory. He used his credentials to requisition a suborbital transport, a desperate, unauthorized flight into the heart of the chaos. His destination was the largest rift, the one over the Atlantic, the one he believed was the epicenter of the entire transformation. He had to prove to Rostova that she was about to kill not a monster, but a miracle. His flight was a journey through a fractured apocalypse. He flew over a sun-scorched Europe and a dark, ice-encrusted America. Below, the survivors huddled in the Terminator Zone, the thin strip of perpetual twilight between the Inferno and the icebox. It was a dying world, clinging to a sliver of itself. When he finally reached the Irish coast, he found Kaelen waiting for him, as if by appointment. She pointed to the rift. "It sings, doesn't it?" she said, her voice calm amidst the end of the world. "It's been singing for a long time. We just forgot how to listen." Together, they approached the shimmering curtain of light. It did not radiate heat or cold. It radiated possibility. Aris knew Rostova's missiles were already in the air. Time was running out. "Prometheus was punished for giving fire to humanity," Aris said, his voice trembling. "Rostova wants to put the fire out." Kaelen looked at him, her eyes reflecting the impossible light of the rift. "Then we must walk into the heart of the flame." They stepped through the rift. The world did not dissolve, it resolved. They were standing on a plain of living glass under a sky swarming with nebulae. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and blooming nightshade. In the distance, they saw it. The source of the music. The heart of the new Earth. It was a geometric object of impossible complexity. A latticework of light and shadow that was constantly folding and unfolding upon itself. A hyperdimensional tesseract that was the planet's exposed soul. Within this matrix of light, Aris saw everything. He saw the formation of the planet, a lonely rock coalescing from dust. He saw the slow, patient dance of evolution. He saw humanity's rise, its triumphs, and its follies. And he saw his daughter Alara, not as a memory, but as a thread in this infinite tapestry, a note in the celestial song. His grief was not erased, but it was contextualized. Her life, her death, was a part of this cosmic becoming. He understood. The spin was a state of being, a planetary childhood. Now it was maturing. It was unfolding its true, multidimensional nature. Just as they absorbed this revelation, a presence entered the matrix with them. Not physically, but as a projection of pure, rigid will. General Rostova. Through some technological brute force, she had projected her consciousness in a final attempt to understand what she was about to destroy. She saw Aris and Kaelen. She saw the unfolding core of the planet. She saw the infinite, beautiful complexity she had mistaken for chaos. Her logic, her tactics, her lifetime of belief and control shattered against the face of this absolute truth. Aris didn't speak. He simply shared his feeling, the peace he had found, the understanding of Alara's place in this grand design. He showed Rostova that humanity was not an infection to be saved from the planet, but a part of the planet that was being reborn. He showed her that her missiles would not save the world, but merely lobotomize it. In the silent space of shared consciousness, Rostova saw the face of her own child, a child she had sent. To a shelter, a child she was trying to save by enforcing an old reality that was already gone. A single command, whispered across the globe from her bunker, aborted the missile strike. Her projection faded, leaving Aris and Kaelen alone at the heart of the new world. The final unfolding completed itself. Earth was no longer a sphere. It was a gateway, a living nexus of realities, its surface a mosaic of impossible landscapes and familiar homelands, all existing in a delicate synchronous harmony. Humanity survived, not as masters, but as participants in a much grander conversation. They learned to live in the light of alien suns and in the shade of crystalline forests. Aris never left the new world. He became an explorer of its infinite corridors, a cartographer of the impossible, forever at peace, a single resonant note in the planet's eternal unfolding song. This story explores the idea that what we perceive as destruction might simply be a form of transformation beyond our comprehension. It is a reminder that our place in the cosmos is not one of dominion, but of participation in a mystery far greater than ourselves. If this journey through a world reborn resonated with you, please consider a like, share, and subscribe for more stories that question the boundaries of our reality.